everyone, and welcome to Book Days. Today I'm 2,000 miles away from home, amongst the fall foliage in the Massachusetts countryside, in search of one of the most iconic trees of all time, the giving tree. The book of the day is The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. This book has two main characters, the tree and the little boy. But unlike most children's books, we get to see this little boy grow up and the friendship that he has with this wonderful tree. I love this book so much because it highlights the value of giving, shown by this tree who gives all he has in the end to this boy. Find this book in your local library or bookstore today. And now we're off on a crazy adventure in search of the real-life giving tree. I hope you're ready. It's gonna be a great adventure. I am so excited. Today we are here in Phillipston, Massachusetts at none other than the Red Apple Farm. I'm here with Al Rose. His family is owner of this gorgeous farm. Al, thank you so much for being here today.
You're very welcome. We're really pleased you made it all the way up here. So you picked a beautiful day to be here. What you call fall, right?
Oh, this is epic fall, guys. It is crisp weather. The trees are at their peak. I mean, this is everything you would think of fall. And I cannot think of a better book to bring us here today than The Giving Tree. Guys, we're gonna talk about apples. And I hope you're ready because it's gonna be a delicious day. So Al, can you start by talking about this particular apple tree here on your farm?
Well, sure. So we have, first of all, we have 50 varieties of apples, and some ripen as early as July.
Yes.
And there's about 8 in August, and then in the September, October, things just blow up. So right now we're getting kind of past mid-season into the later varieties.
Sure.
This is an Empire.
Oh, wow.
And it's a cross between a Mac and a Red Delicious.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
wow.
You can see this apple here. Now that one's got some damage on it. So unfortunately, that's what we call a cider apple. So this apple will be squeezed and turned into cider. But a good apple, like this one, will most likely end up going in somebody's basket to take home. Now you can see it's got a natural little wax on it, but what happens if you go like this? Look at how that apple just pops right out.
Wow!
Isn't that pretty?
That is gorgeous.
Yeah. So this is a great apple, and what's interesting about apples is their flavor changes throughout the year. As they ripen, obviously they're going to get sweeter, but we have a thing here this time of year that actually happens quite often, and that is called frost, which is cold weather at night. And we've had a couple nights in the 30s, and that's actually really good for apple flavor.
Ooh.
Now, why do you think that makes apples taste better? Can you guess?
Ooh, that's
why with cold weather? I'll give you
probably makes them sweeter.
It does. It does.
Yes, was that the right answer?
That is the right answer. So it changes the starch in the apple to sugar. So the cold weather actually makes them taste better. So apples, like an Empire, will only taste better when they get colder. So, and we're definitely getting into colder weather. So
yes,
apples like cold weather. Pumpkins don't like cold weather. So you have to just decide what you're growing. We have pumpkins here as well.
Yes.
On the cold nights, when it gets below freezing, we have to cover our pumpkins. But apples, on the other hand, we don't. So I'm going to give you a little lesson on apples. Want me to do that?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so we
Let's
have
do it.
50 varieties of apples, and most people don't know this. Before an apple was an apple, like these apples here, they're on the tree.
Yes.
What was it? Any guess? So it was another part of the tree that makes it look very beautiful, and it usually happens in May. And I'll give you a hint. If you look at the bottom of an apple, that's the remnants of what it used to be.
I feel like I know this answer based on my tongue. Is it like a flower?
Yeah.
Flower! All right.
And here we call them apple blossoms. And that's a really pretty time of the year. That happens, like I said, in May. Depends on the weather, what kind of spring we have. And the flower turns into an apple But something has to visit the flower first to turn it into an apple.
Does it have wings and it's
Yes,
yellow?
yes.
The bees!
You know it. And we actually depend so much on bees. And so we bring in a lot of beehives.
Okay.
These are honeybees.
Yeah.
And they come here to work and they go to visit all the flowers. And they actually, they have to cross-pollinate. So they have to visit more than one flower to create an apple. And I'll explain that more in a second.
Sure.
But besides honeybees, we actually buy bumblebees. They actually come from Michigan, and they come in these things, big boxes. They're called quads. And our UPS driver doesn't like to deliver bees. It doesn't sound like a very great package because the bees are really upset. And actually, you got to let them calm down for a day before they actually come out because they weren't very happy to be shipped all the way from Michigan. But anyways, we have those, and then we have a lot of wild bees. And what we do for wild bees is there's several parts around the farm that we call wildflower pollinator habitat, where we actually plant wildflowers that actually come out different times in apple blossoms. So we have year-round flowers for them. And one of the things we didn't do on purpose, I like to take credit for it, but we didn't do it on purpose, is we started planting sunflowers here for people to pick sunflowers.
Sure.
We have big sunflower festivals. And sunflowers are one of the best things for bees, especially bumblebees, and it's really good for their health. And so we you know, the people love the sunflowers, but so do the bees. So we like to keep the bees healthy and keep lots of bees around, because we depend on them to make apples. So I'm going to give you another little lesson about apples.
Okay.
So this is an empire.
Okay.
Now, if I cut open the middle of an empire or any apple, what am I going to find in the middle of an apple? What is in there?
The core and the seeds?
Yes, the seeds. Exactly. So let's open this up.
Let's see.
And it should be looking like a star. Oh, there is a star.
Wow.
But where are these one is hiding some of it. Should be a little deeper if we keep looking. There we go. There's one.
Oh,
Everybody
wow,
see it?
the little brown seeds.
And that's actually a remnants of the blossom as well. So as the flower turned into an apple, that's the structure that goes from the flower to making the apple. So there's a seed. Everybody see the little seed right there? All right, everybody knows who Johnny Appleseed is, right? I know we're celebrating the giving tree, but obviously there's a lot of great books about Johnny Appleseed and all he did to go around planting apple seeds. So now I have in my hand a little apple seed. Everybody see that?
It's like a little teardrop of
and you'll find different ones in different amounts. There's more in there. So now if I go ahead and plant this seed, right?
How long would it take to make a tree?
Well, it'll start growing if it's in the right conditions, and you'll get a little seedling. But if I just lost it, but that's okay. If I plant that and put it in the ground, it grows into a tree, and it produces apples. What kind of apples am I going to get?
I would guess the same variety.
You would.
Yes.
And that's what most people would guess, but you wouldn't.
Really?
Yes. This is one of the interesting things about apples. And so what happens is, the best way I can explain it is this seed, which is this new variety or new apple, has two parents. One of the parents was Empire. We have no idea who the other parent was because the bee has gone to all the other different varieties. He could have gone to a Cortland or a Macintosh or a Honeycrisp, and so it would have cross-pollinated. You need two varieties to make the apple from the blossom to an apple. So each seed is actually its own variety. 100%.
Wow.
So whenever you plant seedlings, you're going to have your own variety of apples.
So how do you know what
Exactly,
kind you plant?
Exactly. That's the logical question. I'm going to put this out here, but I can tell you that most people don't know that, so it's great to share that information. So when we want to buy an Empire tree, it will be a tree that actually was grown for rootstock.
Okay.
So there's all these rootstocks for certain size trees. Certain rootstocks tell you how big your tree is, but they graft on it a pre-existing branch from an Empire. So it's called grafting. So what they'll do is in the winter, there's a whole science to it, they'll cut a branch.
Cut it.
Yep.
Kind of like boop.
And they'll splice it.
Okay,
Kinda,
split it.
Yeah, split it and connect it to a rootstock. And that's the only way you can continue to reproduce the same tree.
Wow.
And what's really neat about that, if you think about it, it's the tree that keeps on living, right?
Yes.
Because the empire branch will go somewhere else and keep growing. And that's what's kind of neat here. We actually have some really neat trees that are really old.
Yes.
One is an Johnny Appleseed tree that came from Ohio.
Oh, wow.
And from a farmstead there. And so we were able to get a grafting from that. We also have what we call a Sir Isaac Newton tree from Kent University in England while he was there. And we actually have a graft from that tree. So that's one of the neatest things about apples. They can keep growing and producing apples, but only if you graft them.
Interesting.
Not from seed. So when you have new varieties, they tend to be coming from seeds. So a lot of places will actually plant seeds to try to discover new varieties. That's how they discovered Honeycrisp.
Now, how do you know which trees are which fruit? Can you tell by the look of it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
And now, are most apple trees kind of lower to the ground like these, or how tall do they grow?
So these are called semi-dwarf.
Okay.
So these are, you're looking at as big as they'll get, pretty much.
Okay.
They'll not get much bigger than this. Now, so we'll have two different varieties, two different types of trees here. So if you can look at the trunk, right? And this is a Tompkins King, would be this apple here. So I can show you this one. It's got a little bigger size to it.
Yes.
And this came from upstate New York. You see that one. Now, one of the most famous apples in the past is that tree over here. Come look at this one.
Yes. Wow, that one has definitely more of a straighter trunk.
And that's more of a standard tree. So that one is a much bigger size tree.
Wow, you'd have to get up a ladder to get up all those.
And I can show you our new planting systems, which you can walk up, which is most orchards are planting them in trellises, which is like a vineyard, like grapes.
Okay.
So it's posts and wires, and that's the way to plant commercially a lot of trees. So there's 3 different ways of planting trees here. So what do you think this one is? This is one of those famous apples from the past.
A Red Delicious?
Yes!
Yes!
You got it. So again, that's a Red Delicious.
Wow.
And again, all you have to do is give it a little bit of rub on your shirt and it shines right up.
Wow.
And this is an Eastern Red Delicious.
Interesting. There are more than one?
Yes. So what most people would associate Red Delicious would be a Western Red Delicious from Washington State area, what have you. So it's a little older cultivar of a Red Delicious, and it's a really good apple. But again, to make this apple taste really good, you got to wait for
crisp weather, cold weather.
You got it.
Can we show it a little bit closer to our
of course.
viewers? It is almost like a burgundy red.
So we go from New York, a Red Delicious, which I really don't know what state that originated to begin with. So, but there is one way down here that's really popular in the Midwest.
So let's take a look. Absolutely.
All right. So this apple is called a Northern Spy.
Ooh.
And I'll grab one. And it's a big apple, comparatively speaking. So you can see it's a little bit bigger than a Red Delicious. See the size of it there? Yeah. So it's known as a very big apple. And big apples are known to be a favorite for doing something. What would you want to have a big apple for?
Baking!
Yes! And why is that? So there's a couple reasons.
Okay. I mean, obviously you get more in your product, right?
Yeah. You get bigger pieces of apple, which hopefully hold up the pie. And then
maybe more durability?
Well, the one I've heard is if you have to peel a lot of apples, you rather peel big apples.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think the ones that have been, the cultivars known for baking tend to be bigger apples because a lot of peeling going on. But this is a great apple, and all our pies are actually made with Northern Spies.
Ooh.
And it's a very popular pie apple in Michigan State, just so you know. And one of the problems with this apple, if I had to pick a problem, it's very thin-skinned, which makes it very easy for bruising. So they don't ship very well. This apple can take a lot of it. Yep, it's a solid apple, and that's kind of why it became such a popular apple all over, because it was very known for being able to be shipped to market. and all the way from Washington State to all over the world. So.
Now, I know there's like so many varieties of apples. What makes, like, for example, talking about baking and the famous Granny Smith apple, right? Green, sour compared to red and delicious. What makes those types of changes and differences in the apples?
So every apple is going to have whatever its characteristics are and attributes, but it's definitely what makes an apple taste a certain way is its parent. So whatever a parent apple. So I'll give an example. One of the most popular eating apples today is the Honeycrisp.
Yes, that's my favorite apple.
And that's got two good things going for it. And we planted a lot of Honeycrisps here over the years. And what happens with Honeycrisp is if you were to ask people what their favorite, if they liked a sweet apple or they like a tart apple, guess what the majority of people would like for preference?
Probably sweet, right?
Actually, they want it right in the middle.
Wow.
They want a sweet tart apple.
Okay.
And Honeycrisp is right in the middle.
That's true.
So it has that just perfect combination. And the other thing is it's got that in its name, the crisp part. So you can pick it in September.
Okay.
And it'll be just as crisp in February if you put it in the cold storage. So it's an amazing apple that'll hold its crispness, and not many apples will do that.
That's true. It is my favorite. And how do you tell from all these apple trees, how long do they stay good on the tree? And then after you pick it, how long are apples typically
Again,
good
it's a variety thing. So you have to know what's an early season variety, a late season, or mid-season. And generally speaking, if an apple is a summer apple, they tend to have a little engine in them that says, I ripen fast.
Yeah.
Because they're ready to be picked in the summer. And that same engine says they're going to ripen way too fast, they're not going to hold.
Sure.
The later apples will be the ones that tend to be the ones that better keepers. But again, some varieties are different and they can do really well in cold storage. But for us to keep an apple as fresh as possible, and everyone should do that, you should never keep your apples on a table, on a bowl. Where should you keep your apples to make them last the longest?
The refrigerator.
Yes. And as apples ripen, they produce a gas called ethylene.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you want to slow that production of ethylene. You want the apple to pretty much go to sleep and not breathe. Apples are breathing. So you actually slow down the breathing on the apples. Yeah. So,
okay.
And now, tomatoes are, for example, are something you would never put in a refrigerator, because as soon as you put tomatoes in the refrigerator, their flavor is gone, their texture is gone.
Oops.
So,
I've done that
so never do that with tomatoes, but always do that with apples. So.
Fantastic.
Here's the trellis system I was telling you about, the new way. These are the Evercrisps that we planted. There's a few out here, you can see them. People did pick them though they weren't supposed to.
Oh no!
They clobbered them. But you can see how the trees are really planted with wires to support them. You see how they're clipped up here?
Yes.
And they're actually got posts to make, over time, it will create a fruiting wall.
Similar to a zip tie, right?
Yep,
kind of
they'll
those
use
wires.
zip ties as well, but also some metal.
Wow.
See the little metal right there, a little bracket on it? So you can see these trees are only on their 4th year, which is crazy to think. So I'll pick you. So these are golden delicious. So you saw the red delicious earlier.
Yes.
Now you know why they call them golden, right? Well, what's interesting is they get riper, they get a little pink blush. See the little pink blush there?
Beautiful.
Now oopsie daisy. The correct way to pick an apple.
Yes.
Can I show everybody the correct way to pick an apple?
Absolutely.
All right. So the correct way to pick an apple is an apple has a stem where it's connected there. See that? So the proper way when an apple is ripe is not, you don't ever want to just yank an apple.
Okay.
Because that's what somebody did here. See what's left of the stem there? So the correct way is you want to twist the apple and then you pull.
Wow.
And that makes the stem weak up here and pulls it off. And it doesn't damage next year's bud by doing that. So it's a twist and pull. So when you twist it, you weaken the stem.
Interesting.
So professional apple pickers are known to always twist
and pull.
Yes, and then you don't damage other apples that are nearby.
Can I try?
Yes, give it a try. Try this one. It's kind of high, but see if you can reach that one.
Okay,
the right
ready?
one.
Ready, everyone? Twist and pull. Did I do
Yeah,
it?
you did perfect.
Yay!
You're
Remember,
now perfect
twist
at it.
and pull. Amazing. So we have come to the back of the Red Apple Farm, and we are on the hunt for the ultimate giving tree. Are you guys ready to see what the giving tree in real life looks like? Well, it's right over here. Let's take a look. So Al, I think this is the absolutely perfect giving tree.
Well, it would totally be honored and happy to be called that. So it's had a good life. You can see it's got some big trunks on it.
Yes.
But look at the beautiful apples. It's still giving.
It is
Right.
gorgeous. How
Yeah.
old would you estimate this tree?
I would say that tree would be right around the 1930s planted. So we're getting not far from having been producing apples for a better part of a century. And if you look at the beautiful apples, these are called Macintosh. And I'll pick a real nice one for you right up here. Look how pretty that is. You can pull like that. But that is a beautiful Macintosh apple.
That is gorgeous.
And this tree, being a Macintosh, is one of the most popular New England apples.
Yes.
That a lot of the other varieties that are common here are actually its offspring. So if you look at everything from Cortland to a Spencer, or an Empire, a McCown, that's my favorite apple. Those are all offspring of a Macintosh. So one of its parents was a Macintosh.
So interesting. This tree is like the ultimate giving tree with the beautiful, amazingly sparkling red apples to the really rich branches that the tree gives to the little boy, and then ultimately the trunk. And at the end of the book, when the little boy cuts down, not so little anymore, cuts down the tree, that would make such a great base for eventually the old man to sit on. And this tree would span the whole life of somebody.
Oh, easily, yep. And it already has, actually, when you think about it. It's getting very close to 100 years. So.
Wow. Well, Al, this has been such a joy to be here at the Red Apple Farm. Thank you so much for sharing all your expertise about apples with us today.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I love talking about something that I love. So it's anytime you want to know anything about apples, I'll do my best to tell you.
Absolutely. It has been such a joy to hear your passion and to share it with our viewers. Thanks so much for coming on this incredible adventure with us to Phillipston, Massachusetts at the Red Apple Farm, featuring the beloved book, The Giving Tree. Now be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming adventures, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Want more book days? Well, the adventure has only begun. Check out these episodes and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming adventures.